Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is directed by Jill Kennan, starring Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, Makina Grace, Numae Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Celeste O'Connor, Logan Kim, Emily Allen Vin, James Asker, Bill Murray, and Dan Aykroyd, and is the latest Ghostbusters movie in the Ghostbusters franchise. So I have seen every single one of the Ghostbusters movies. Of course, I've seen the original one the most. I've seen Ghostbusters 2 a couple of times. I saw Ghostbusters 2016, didn't really like that one, unfortunately. And then I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I thought was actually a very solid reimagining of the Ghostbusters franchise. And so I was looking forward to this movie a bit when it was announced. I did see that it got some very mixed reviews. It got a 43 on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't a very good score, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because when I watched this movie, I actually thought it was actually quite good, and I'll explain why. So, as the movie was going along, there were several points where I was thinking of what score this movie would get. And fortunately, it didn't go below a 6 out of 10 for me. There were a couple of scenes in the movie where I kind of thought, I'm not sure if this was the right choice. But as the movie went along, it actually did feel like it did make a lot of sense, just the way the story beats were going and just the way the scenes were panning out. And there wasn't really anything that jumped out at me that I thought was bad or cringe or something that was too out of place or too weird. It did feel very Ghostbusters from start to finish, which is what you want. So I thought that the lore, the legend that they were trying to craft in this movie was pretty solid. It did hold its own weight. The character choices were understandable. There are a couple of characters in this movie that do feel a tad one-dimensional, a little bit too characterized, just a touch. But this is just minor complaints. This movie was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. This was, in my opinion, a good Ghostbusters movie. It was miles better than Ghostbusters 2016, and I do think it was even better than Afterlife. Though, spoilers for Afterlife if you haven't seen it, but in the end of Afterlife, all the original Ghostbusters are there. Alright, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray are in this film, and Dan Aykroyd has a lot more screen time in this movie than what Bill Murray does. Dan Aykroyd actually is his own character in this movie, and he has a lot of lines, and he has a really good presence, while Bill Murray has a much more minor role. He's in a lot less scenes. But it was still nice to see both of them, get on the big screen, and they were enjoyable when they did come up. So, there's that. I guess one real complaint about this movie is that it did feel like it was building up for a really long time to get to the part where we actually see things freezing and the Frozen Empire coming to life, and the climax in this movie was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. It feels like disproportionate, there was a lot of build-up for something that didn't really last that long, in my opinion. As I said, the build-up is great. I mean, it does build up quite a decent deal of suspense in this movie, which I was surprised by. And there is a climax, there is a fight, but it is not on as large as a scale as you would think. It's not like the climax of the original Ghostbusters at all. I mean, the original Ghostbusters was city-wide, while even though the city is frozen, the actual climax of this movie felt a lot more localized by comparison. But apart from that, I didn't really have that many other complaints with it. I actually thought it was very enjoyable. I think it could have been better, but it could have been much, much, much worse, and I really did enjoy watching this, and I think you will too. So I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. I recommend you go see this film. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, you won't be disappointed, and if you are disappointed, you won't be massively disappointed. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching my review. Thanks for supporting the channel. You guys are the best, and as always, take care. Thank you.